Okay. What have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8 of them.
You start. I'll keep an eye out. If they come in late, I'll let them in.
Cool.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Again, for who wasn't there just a minute ago, thank you all for joining. This is just going through the Avaya J series handsets and connecting them to the Yeastar PBX cloud system. I will step through a provisioning of a phone next to me. If all goes to plan, the camera will work and we'll be able to watch it. Again, this is for the J series, and this is to move phones if you've got them on an IPO SE at the moment, and you want to bring them across. So we can bring them over. We've also configured a config file that we'll step through in this as well and show you. But yeah, it is the connection of the J series handsets onto Yeastar PBX. So going through what we have with the Avaya J series is we can use the Avaya DES server, a DHCP string or manual. Today we'll discuss the DHCP string and the DES. So utilizing either one of those two, obviously there's benefits to both. DES being a really good way to go if you have the availability to get it. We've got links in here if you need to set up to have access to the Avaya DES. Good thing about DES is we can force the firmware updates to the phone, so we don't have to do them through the IPA before or utilize your own HTTP server or whichever you want to do. If you already use DES, you've got familiarity with in and around it. And so you have no IT involvement to get the phones deployed. So you can add the string from your Yeastar PBX into your DES and re-provision the phones. Using a DHCP string, like anything, if anyone uses the 242 string now for J series, same premise. We just have to edit the string to go to the Yeastar PBX. Again, makes it easier for deployment, no manual into each device to configure them to your Yeastar PBX. But what you will need to do is if you have multi-site, obviously deploy the DHCP string into each of these sites to direct, where DES, much easier to manage if you've got multi-site systems and you're redirecting rather than having to put the DHCP string into both. We've got here the J series handsets must be 4.1.107 or later. If your phones are prior to this version, it will make a connection, but it will not join on. So first thing, and I'll raise this a bit later, you got a version that's not compatible, the phone will step through the process, but then you will get SIP proxy empty. So just a little note that if you see that, check your firmware and upgrade if necessary. But yeah, if it's under, it won't connect to the PB. It needs to be of that version. If we're using a DHCP string, obviously remove your phones out of the DES server. And if you're going to use the option 242, check with what's on site and make sure that there's not a string directing to the current IPO on site. For the J series, Comms Plus, we have built a custom template to deploy. If anyone's had a look at the Avaya templates that are within the Yeastar at the moment, and once they deploy on the phone, they're not very friendly to use for us, technicians, engineers, and to the end user. So we've built a custom template to align your button layout, enhance and make the park feature usable, and also LDAP of the phone, which we'll step through at the end of this today, and how we can get to to contacts and the directory for the Avaya through the Yeastar PBX. So yes, the custom template is big one on the button layouts, because as I said, as we went before, it was up and down. We now have the left and right. So it's a lot more aligned with what end users are used to seeing. The park feature as it works, so you can place it on park and take it off park. Limitations we do have, just to flag with the J series and the Yeastar. So the reboot, reprovision features within the PBX, in the cloud PBX, we cannot use. They do not work. So if you make changes on the device, buttons, things like that, you need to reboot the phone, not reprovision, reboot the phone. That's the only way it will take effect. We can't force a reprovision remotely. It needs to be done either through the web interface of the phone or rebooting the phone. The firmware upgrade through the auto provisioning menu in the Yeastar PBX is not supported either. We can't force firmware to the devices. So we need to get into the firmware, and then we have to manage how, if you need to upgrade them later, how you're going to manage upgrading the firmware. We cannot do it through the Yeastar PBX. So just through, we went before, just pre-deployment, identifying which method you want to use, be it the DHCP or using the DES server. You need to create your extensions into the Yeastar, get your custom template into the system, add devices, and for it to all work, we need to default the J series for it to take hold and connect to the Yeastar. Supplying your string to the IT if you need to, and getting the provisioning string for your DES server. So when you create a device in the Yeastar, I would suggest we do this first because we need to capture the provisioning link. So when you create a device in Yeastar, if you create an Avaya, you will then see the provisioning link will populate. This provisioning link is what we need to configure either the DHCP or allocate into DES. This is the same provisioning link for all devices on this PBX. It's not one per phone. So once you have one phone configured with your provisioning link, you can then use that, or you will use that for the whole system for your devices to register. Again, just before you start, ensure that your Avaya handset firmware is updated. So if you're migrating from an Avaya, drop your latest firmware into the system, upgrade all your phones before bringing them across is a suggestion. That way they're all done. So what I'll go through first is just the DHCP setting and configuring that. So this would be useful for if it's a singular site with phones. This way we can just drop it into the router on site IT in a DHCP server to distribute the following settings. Again, if it's a multi-site, you will need to deploy this string into each of the sites. So this is where DES is very helpful and useful. This will still do the same, but you will need that extra time to set them up onto each site. Once we have captured our string, we then need to break it down into the components to get it readable by the devices as they boot up. So what we've got is a guide, which there's a link just here, which will step you through everything we're just going to go through now. And I'll just give you a quick look. Sorry. So we have this guide here, which steps us through what I'm just going to discuss now as well, but this breaks it all down. So within this presentation, there's a link here for you. So when you get the provisioning link out of your device, it comes in this long string. We need to break it down for our option 242 into the TLS server, TLS directory, TLS port, and the signaling. So signaling will change the phones from IPO CCMS into 3PCC, so into SIP. So that's what the signal 2 will do. Once you've got your string, as you said, we break it down into these components. So we have the full string here, where we have the TLS server. This is the main name of the PBX, so that comes from the first component here. The file path, so that's where we're going to provision against. So that's here, API, auto provision, server port, and the software version. So we're going to set it to 2. Once we've built that, we would then deploy, well, I would deploy the custom template pre all this. But yeah, once we've got it, we get the custom template into the system, and then we can build a phone and deploy it based on this custom template we put in the system. So we build our string, we've got it from a phone, you can delete that phone, or I would suggest just delete it, recreate, upload your custom file. We have the guides here, how to upload custom files into the PBX. In this document here, we have the link to our custom file that you can load into the auto provisioning for your phones. Then when you build your devices, you create your extension. It will then have the template, and you can pick the Avaya custom. That will then, once it captures a string and it connects to the Yeastar, it will then use that template and download all those configurable configuration settings into the device. So what I'll do is I'll grab a phone next to me. Just give me 2 seconds. I'll just drag it across. If this works. Sorry guys, not me. Sorry, just got to change my share. Can we all see that phone? Is that there? Cool. That is yes.
Yeah, see it.
Cool. So this is currently connected to my IPO. I have uploaded my string into my server. I've uploaded my custom file. So what I need to do is default the phone and restart it. So the phone will, you can restart through the command, you restart through the web browser, whichever way. I haven't had to flash any other firmware to it, haven't had to do anything else to it. All I've done is set my DHCP string in my local router here and added my custom config file into my Yeastar. Now, whilst we're waiting, because there's not a lot to look at whilst it does this bit. See, go away. We've also worked on several devices. So here we have the 189. This is on the Yeastar. This is already provisioned. And we have 59s over here. So these are the devices. I have also been testing with the Gem Twin set of add-on modules onto the devices as well. I just don't have one of them up here. I do on the desk behind me, but not with me here. With the J's, you can also see down the bottom, we have the config soft keys down on the bottom of the 189, and it's the same on the 159 as well. So there we have the park, the day and night, BLFs. And again, not. So yeah, just going through, first thing to do is build a device in your Yeastar PBX and get your provisioning string. That way we can break that down into the HTTP. We need, that string is also required for DES as well. So rather than wait, we'll skip. Now I've updated these phones to the latest version as well. So we'll do a check, but it will not, yeah, as I said, we can't do any upgrades from the Yeastar PBX. And in hindsight, probably should have done this in a video and then cut through all the middle bit. So apologies in the. Okay, so that's. Oh, I guess what I will do is just bring this over here. So again, just on the string that I've put in, this is the build of it here. So this is everything it's going to capture now, where it's directing to the provisioning, the port. And we can show you this once it's done. My phone's failed. Sorry, guys. Cole, Cole,
Yeah,
as I was saying before, my thing here is gone.
everything fails on a demo, mate.
No, I did it 10 times yesterday without a problem. No apologies. You want to just take and have a look at Des?
Sure.
Sorry, guys. Should have defaulted it.
Hey, Nate, just quick question. I mean, I always like to ask the stupid questions, as you know. What is DES?
I'll show you right now, as soon as I work out how to share my screen. This
Because
one.
you mentioned that DES doesn't need any IT input, yeah? As in, you don't need anyone to do any work on the router to add the DHCP scope.
That's right. So the DHCP, we need to get it into the equipment on site.
Yep.
DES is the Avaya tool. So this is where you can enroll all your devices and then you add a provisioning link.
Yep.
So what you then do is just add your serial and MAC address into your site, which Cole will show now.
Can you see my screen at the moment?
Yep. Yep.
See my mouse move? Yeah. Okay. So I'll run you through this. So basically, if I wanted to add a device using DES to do the provisioning rather than DHCP, all right? So this is DES. If you're an Avaya dealer and have a BP link ID, you can have access to this. You just have to request it. And I'll show you that at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, does anyone provision like a Yeastar handset where you just take it out of the box, plug it in, and it's done? Yeah, it's going to work the same way with this. All right. So this is our PBX in-house. So I've got a 189 handset here. If I want to add that, I'll just go add Avaya model 189, the MAC address, which I have somewhere.
So this is your the downside of DES is you need the MAC address, which means you'd either have to turn the phone upside down and write it down, or get into the web GUI.
Yeah, well, you're going to need the MAC address for any device you configure on the Yeastar.
True. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, hang on a sec. I'll just get the MAC.
And I suppose if you're already on an IPO, you can just easily get the Mac anyway that way.
Yeah.
Cut and paste. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I'll shut up now.
Hey, all right. Questions are good, man. All right, Mac. Template. So by default, the Yeastar has this Avaya J series template, and it's pretty woeful if anyone's used it before. So we've cut a custom template, which you can get off our support site and just upload into the system. So I'm going to select the custom template, and immediately it's going to give me this provisioning link, right? Which is what Nathan was referring to before. I'm going to assign it to me. I'm going to copy that. and then I'm going to go into DES. All right, so DES is exactly what it says, Device Enrollment Services. So it's a RPS server. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is create a profile. And I'm going to copy that script in. Oh, sorry, I'm going to give it a name up here. And I'm going to submit. Oh, I'm going to tick this box, and then I'm going to submit. All right, if I go back to the profile management, maybe. Oh, sorry. Sorry, guys. I'm sure everyone's had the same problem with Avaya logins.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm definitely glad I'm not alone there, mate.
Every time.
It's, oh, man. Sorry, it timed out, obviously. All right, if you have an Avaya SSO, you can use that, right? If you've never had access to DES before, you can click down here. We might actually run through that now. You can click down here to request access. It's your typical Avaya site. It takes forever to load. All right, just fill out this form. It's going to ask you for a BP link ID. All right, so if you're an Avaya dealer, you should have that. If you don't remember it, reach out to us and we'll look it up. All right, submit that, and they will come back to you with a login approved within a couple of days. But typical Avaya, if you haven't heard within 2 days, probably reach out to us, and we'll give you an email you can reach out to hurry them along. It's just Avaya. All right. So yeah, normally I'll log in with my SSO. Which constantly changes.
I've got mine open, Cole. Do you want me to take my screen?
It's just Avaya, mate. All right, we'll try again. I'll just pull up a profile that we've done before. So if you look at, all right, so this is the same one I was pasting in. So it's just HTTPS. That string you get off the Yeastar, and that's it, submit. There's usually a tick box here, make sure you tick that, and then go submit. And then what we set up after that is an account. It's up to you how you do this. You can create an account for each client. So each client on the Yeastar, you create an account. Or, and if we have a look at that, okay, I'll go add. The account type, always going to be customer. Fill in all the other details. I don't put the customer's details here. I just put mine. All right, so address, name, etc. And we'll just go on the one that's set up before. All right, so you can see here that my account name is Yeastar Test. I'll just put my name for everything, and then I create a site. So this is our in-house system. So it's just that and what profile I want to use. So let's just select that profile. I create it back up in profile management. So that gives me the script. All right. And then if what I do here is I also say update to the latest firmware. All right. So you can actually manage the firmware here and select what firmware version. I just set it update to the latest. All right. So once you've got all that set up, you can then add the devices. All right. The first thing you've got to do is put the device in here. So you go claim device, and we enter the serial number and the MAC address of the device. So to the question before, we need the MAC address, yes, but you also need the serial number. I'll go back to my all right, so success. Basically, claim device is you're just entering the device into this platform. Then we go to manage devices, and you can see these are all the devices we have in here at the moment. If I filter that down, and I will just search for that MAC address I entered. All right, so you can see here that device is there, and all these blue buttons up the top are all grayed out. So what I have to do is associate this to that account I set up. So I go associate. The account name, so I'm going to go Yeastar Test, that's one of the accounts I have, and the customer site, Yeastar in-house, submit, and then I activate it. All right, so all I have to do now with that phone, if it was brand new, I would take it out of the box, plug it in, it would automatically contact DES. All right. Remember when you plug a phone in, it comes, what's it say on the screen, Nathan, normally? Do you want to auto provision?
Auto provision, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what that is. It's going to DES, right, and going, hey, I'm this MAC address. Do you have a redirection for me? And in this case, yes. Use this account, go to this site, and grab this URL. So it's going to put this URL into the provisioning line in the phone. Also, because I turned firmware on, the phone is automatically going to upgrade to the latest firmware. And then it's going to redirect to the Yeastar using this script, and it's going to pull its new config file down, right? And the phone's just going to provision. Now, if you have an existing phone, you're going to have to factory default it because the provisioning in it is set to your IP office or what you got in place at the moment. So you're going to have to factory default the phone, then it will go to the provisioning server or the DES server and get this script, then it will go to the Yeastar and pull its config file. So I'll probably make this sound a lot more complicated than it is, but realistically, you can do this in about 5 minutes. Do multiple phones and just factory default them all, and they'll all come up with the latest firmware, and they'll just work. Does that make sense? Has anyone got any questions about that?
Looks a bit more complicated than the scope.
Oh, okay. Well, I actually find this easier because I don't have to worry about firmware. Just done. Once you do this a couple of times, it's pretty simple. The biggest problem is Avaya's websites are shite.
Speaking of which, so I'm on the site now. Whereabouts in the where do you find the DES request or whatever it is that you needed to do?
It's on the bottom of that page. So if I log out, I can work out how to log out. Down here.
Yeah, but how do you get to that page?
Oh, just go des.avaya.com.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. There's cheat sheets on all this on our support site. Right, so if you go to our support site, support comsplus.com.au, and I sign in, go to the knowledge base, or the easiest way is just to search DES, right? And there's a cheat sheet here, Yeastar, provisioning Avaya J series using Avaya DES. All right. If I look at that, it goes through exactly the same process I've gone through.
I guess instead of using the old DES and that, could you just put the string, like the provisioning string, in how you would normally do an Avaya phone, like in the IP area, or does that not work?
I'll let Nathan answer that one.
IP area of what? Sorry.
Normally, like if we were provisioning an Avaya handset, you would just put the IP address or the domain into the HTTPS area in the phone itself. Could you still do that with the
You can still, yes,
provisioning link?
If you want to manually provision the phone, yes.
Yeah. What would be the downside of doing that?
Time each device.
Mate, you just plug in a keyboard into the back of the phone.
If you want to, you can. If you want to do that, yes.
Yeah, gotcha. No, I get you. Yeah, it's just gonna take a while.
What we're trying to do is show just an easy way to deploy and quicker for you guys. So yeah, what you're going to have to do is you probably want to default the phone first and then go back in and manually change everything. But if you want to do that, if that's your preferred method, you can.
No. I was just curious.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it's doing though, yeah. Just entering it into that area.
Yeah, so what I can show is I got my phone, and apologies, silly, I was directing it to my other one, which it wasn't connecting to. So my phone's provisioned. I can show you where in the phone where it fills in the fields. Do you want to keep going through this, Cole, or?
No, I think I'm done with DES.
Okay.
Just one quick question, Cole. So if you're adding more devices to that same cloud PBX, do you need to create more accounts, or can it all be under the same
No,
account?
it's all under the one account. So once you've set up that client
Yeah.
and the profile, you just keep adding devices, all right? And just same thing, allocate and activate under that same account. And you could actually, just looking at it today, you could actually just create one account, say, for your company, right? And the only thing that would be different for each Yeastar instance would be the site, because the only thing that's changing is that provisioning script for each Yeastar. So if you just wanted to create one account and then create a different site for each Yeastar, you could do that as well. Am I still in there?
Once it's enrolled, does the device need to stay in the DES, or can you remove it from the DES once it's enrolled?
Yeah, hang on. You're going to make me log in again, which is going to be painful. Oh, okay, I remembered who I was. So if we go to profile management, and I might just go to the test one. All right, so management. Right, so I could just add multiple sites under here. Right, add. So it could be, ABC, Yeastar, XYZ, Yeastar, just add multiple sites. And the only thing that changes is, I should get the one that's active. Sorry. Test one. So you can see here, I've got one site with using that profile, and then I could just add another site. Yeah, remember to tick the box here. So now I've got two different sites, and it could be two different Yeastar instances under the one account. So if you wanted to cut down what you got to do, you just set up one account and just have multiple Yeastars here, all with a different provisioning script. This is a bad example. I've used Harry's, which he's actually got connected to an IP office. But same thing, you just adding multiple sites. And then you just go to the devices. Right, so currently I can associate this thing hang on. Let me go to the one I was using. All right, so this is my phone. I can select that. It's currently connected to that Yeastar test account. Right, so I could deactivate it and then disassociate it from this account. And then associate it to a different account. So I'll go to Harry's test, and now I'm attaching that phone to an IP office. Understand?
Yeah.
Yep. So it's pretty flexible in here. Or if I want to get rid of it totally, right? Because remember, once it's in DES, it's a bit like the you pick up a Yealink phone, plug it in, and it's associated with someone else's account, and it's a bugger to get it released, right? So same thing here. Once it's in here for good, unless you release it, right? Yeah, so you just go disassociate and release. Now it's no longer in DES.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So if anyone's played around with Yealink RPS server, it's almost the same principle, except Avaya made it a lot more complicated. The
So
beauty
essentially, once
is,
it's enrolled, it doesn't need to stay in DES. Is that correct?
well, basically what DES is doing is pushing that provisioning script to the phone, right?
Yeah.
So that script will always be in the phone unless you factory default it.
Mm-hmm.
So I would always keep it in DES. That way you could get the customer factory default the phone, and it would just automatically re-provision.
Mm-hmm.
But totally up to you. I know there's one carrier that we deal with, and as soon as the phone is provisioned, they actually delete it out of the provisioning server as a security thing. But that's going to be, your call if you want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So basically that's it. Provision it here, MAC address. This is the provisioning link. So whereas like Snom, Fanvilles, Yealink, they actually write this provisioning link to the vendor's RPS server. In Avaya, you have to write it into DES or do the DHCP method or manually write it into the phone. Okay. While I'm in here, I'll actually show you. Right, so in this auto provisioning, there's this resource repository, and you'll see all the default templates, right? Now, that template that we've made, you see it here, Avaya Custom, right? You'll have to get that template off our support site here. So if you go Avaya template, there you go, custom config file for Avaya, J-series handsets. All right, so the file's attached here, or you can just download, right? So save that on your desktop, go in here and just go add, give it a name. All right, it's custom, and then browse, find that file, upload it, right? And you just use that template. What that template does, Nathan started on it, is we've changed the way the buttons lay out on the screen because it was just a little bit retarded with the default one. We've made the park keys work. There's a few other things. The day-night button works. And also the LDAP for your directory on the phone works.
One thing I found, mate, is the call forwarding. If you can update the template to turn it on, otherwise you need to get into the web again on the handset, restart the phone.
Nathan had a look at that. Have you got an answer to that, Nathan?
You can't
I
have
think it's
call forward
basically
button.
no.
No, you can't have call forward button. We need to use call forward code or go through the.
If you turn on call forward in the settings of the handset, call forward does work.
The button.
Yep.
Well,
So you turn it on, call forward.
if you can make that changes on a handset, right, and
Yep.
then send us the config file, we'll try to change the template.
If you can, yeah, because it's no dramas if you just can tick it and then carry on, but it's
Yeah.
a restart.
Yeah, and this is going to be an ongoing thing for you guys. Like, realistically, the amount of time Nathan and I have put in just trying to get the thing to be functional. We can't we can't test everything. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, it's just something that I
just
saw.
let us know if you work out how to do it. Even better.
Yep.
Download the config file, send it to us. We'll find out what's changed, and we can change the template to suit. I actually thought about it today. There's a couple of other things we haven't tested, like alert info. So if you want customized ringtones for, a call group or something like that, we have not tested that yet, right? I'm pretty sure it will work, but this is an Avaya phone we're talking about. So
Yeah.
we can look at it and but trying to change things it takes a long time, you know what I mean? Because Avaya's documentation is really bad.
Yeah. Now, look, what you've done has helped heaps, especially with that template. It made a massive difference. It saves you half an hour per handset.
Yeah, so if you guys can help us out with that, that'd be great. It'll save us a lot of time because, we're trying to balance a lot of things happening at once.
Can I just do one more request?
Go for it.
In the template, just to change it back from the default password to change it, because if you do need to log into the handset, it'll just prompt you to change that password anyway.
Okay, yep. Can you do that?
You can, but then you've got to reprovision it or reboot the phone again. If once it's set in a template, you got to log into the handset.
Yeah, all right. Leave that with me. Hang on. Let's do it now.
How's the time picked up from the handset through the custom config as well?
No, it's where we associate your user to.
Right.
So what do we want? Call forward. Default password and alert info. All right, that's a start. Give us 3 months on that.
At least you're doing it, mate. It'll take me 5.
It's quite funny, those sorting out the park keys. I spent days trying to sort it out, like months ago, and I just gave up. And more important things to do. And then the other day, I just looked at it and worked it out in 5 minutes. It was just like,
So you can actually program a park key rather than a BLF park key, because the way I was doing it was BLF, and then the attribute was like 6001 or 6002.
Yeah, that's the way we're doing it.
That is the feature. Yeah, park and retrieve. So BLF, park and retrieve, whatever it's called. If you go into, just go into an extension, Cole.
I think I've deleted mine, so I don't think we have another Avaya on here. Hang on. I think
I never programmed the key as an actual park key. It was always just programmed as a BLF key.
Yep, BLF.
Okay.
Hang on, let's see if I can find one. No, I think I was the only one on here that actually had an Avaya handset. Oh, hang on, Tim might have one. Yeah, he's got a 169. And then...
Oh, okay.
Park and retrieve. Yeah.
So that is different. So you can actually... Does the function...
Okay. I was wrong.
Is the function better? What I found with the BLF type situation is you had to lift the handset or go on the speaker to retrieve.
Yeah, and that's what we found with the where you set up a day-night button as well, right? Mm-hmm. You set it up as a BLF with your *99, but you basically have to make the phone call for go on speaker or lift a handset. But at least it gives you the indication on the key. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yep. Okay. Cool. Cool. So it
that's
is
on the
slightly different.
we've got all that on the support side. I think I did.
But to answer your question, Jason,
Mhm.
you use that park and retrieve feature.
Yep.
You just press the button.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Because otherwise you'd press the button and it'd put you on a hold.
No, that's right. So I've got it here. I've got my phone up, but I can show you. But yeah, you put it on park with that park and retrieve, and then 6,001, whichever it is. You then just single press on the button on the retrieving phone to pick it up. You don't need to go speaker.
Okay. Okay. That's much better. All right.
Yeah. So on the support side, I've done a little fast facts. Yeastar using J series handsets. Default config is bad. Use this. Yeah. Articles for DHCP or DES. The contact directory on the handset is supported using Yeastar LDAP, which I think Nathan can go through in a minute. There's an article on how to set that up. I think the default config was not, LDAP was disabled. I'll change that to enable it. All right, so I don't think there's too much you have to do there to just make it work. And the day-night key status indication is possible. Change status, procedure is speaker or lift handset, then push key. All right, so you actually have to make a phone call because it's just a star code. Spent a lot of time trying to make that work with just the toggle, but can't, and I don't know why.
Is there a system directory as well, or is it a
Yeah, that's your LDAP.
the LDAP? Is it? That's the LDAP, isn't it?
Yeah. All right. Yeah, Nathan, you can go through that. I think.
Cool. Hold on a sec.
Yeah, so if you find something and you want it written into the config, probably the easiest way is just send us an email at helpdesk@comsplus.com.au and Nathan and I will pick it up.
Yeah, cool. As I said, my phone did provision. Apologies for before. I was directing it to my test server, not my CBD server. So, yes, for the LDAP. So, and then chime in anywhere as well, Cole. But for the directory for the Avaya phones, we use the Yeastar as the LDAP server. So we've enabled it within the custom config. So when you deploy the custom config to the phones will activate the LDAP availability within. And then in the actual, we've got guides here with it as well. Within the actual system, you go in and you activate LDAP and turns it on. So we're using the Yeastar LDAP server as the directory for the Avaya phones. Once this is on and then the phones got it activated, this within the company contacts is what we'll be able to search through the phone. So that's what this works. What we've also found is the phone books. The phone can't drill down into these phone books. So if anyone's used these phone books on the Yeastar at the moment, we can set these up to have phone books. So only certain people can view certain phone books and things like that. Through the devices, in all the devices that were tested, this doesn't work. You can't segregate phone books in the directories on the handsets. This works in Linkus. So when you use the soft phone app, phone books will enable you to only allow certain end users view certain phone books. But through the handset desk phone, we can't drill down into these. So that we're just highlighting that if you're trying to, say, tenant the system and then break it down so certain handsets can't view other numbers and names in the directory, the phones can't drill down into the phone books. Linkers can, but not the phones. So back with the Avaya, we enable the LDAP. So we're using the Yeastar as the directory server, the LDAP server. We enable LDAP availability in the Avaya handsets via the Avaya custom provisioning file, and then the phones will then search through the company contacts. Okay, so that's how we get the directory into the phones. Is that all right? We do have in here the guides for them. Does that make sense? No? Yes?
Looks good. I did have an issue on that last job where it didn't populate the I think it was the password that it didn't put in a few of the handsets. I had to actually manually put it in.
Which password?
The LDAP. So in the LDAP setting, you need the username, and then
Yep.
there's a password. So you have to put the registration password of the user in there. Other handsets seem to do it. Again, it was probably just an Avaya thing. They're all exactly the same handset, same firmware.
So all the Avaya handsets didn't do that?
No, there's just a couple. I scratched my head going, why? And then like I rebooted it 2-3 times, and then I finally found it was missing the password.
Okay.
We'll have another look at it. Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Cool.
I didn't notice it.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
It will get better.
Yeah, we'll keep that. Like I'll go on to the forwarding and have a look at it today,
Yeah.
Jason, and try and get that sorted. I was playing around with it. Again, time is my limiter. So, but
it wasn't a big problem. I mean, a lot of people actually don't use directories on phones anyway.
Yeah.
You know, they've got the computer, they've got their email, they've got their CRMs. They don't look up numbers in a phone.
Yeah. Cool.
I'll have another look at it. I might have missed it because I've just been testing with the one handset, so maybe I'll be remembered. But yeah, don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, I think what we're just trying to show is we can just move the Avaya phones across from a current to, from an IPO to the Yeastar with minimal, changing or upgrades or anything like that needing to be done. Like we don't need to go in and flash the whole system to a SIP device and things like that. We can just re-provision them to the Yeastar. So, where there is Avaya phones, I guess the only limiter is the firmware versions. So that's just the big thing to note. We need to get them to a version before we bring them across. So, but yeah, we don't need to do any major conversions, redo the whole device into a SIP device before we can do it. It's not like a 6-step procedure. It's once we've got the Yeastar set up and we factory default it, it'll redirect and provision to the system for us. But again, yes, as Cole said, the features in that we're working on. So please flow them through and we'll look at them as it grows. You guys are out there working on the sites every day. So you're the ones that are going to find things that need to be added or preferably be added. So the more you can flag to us, the more we can look at and we can build that custom file and go from there. But yeah, I think the big thing is, as I said right back in the beginning, if anyone that tried to put a J series on it first and use the default template, the template that, a lot of credit goes to Cole. He's the one that put all this together to what we have now. Makes it a lot closer to what is day-to-day of the Avaya functionality with the button layout and the park now being the big one that is functioning because park's the big thing across the Avaya handsets. But yeah, please just funnel through any other suggestions or features that we need to look into.
How did you, you might have mentioned it, but how did you go with the JEM module template?
Yeah, so I added it on. It's okay. It's just you just got to add. I'm creating another. Probably just add it. I don't know how I'm going to add it to the template. I'll create a new one. Just got to add the more buttons and then start that JEM module, the button after, depending on what device you're on. Mine's turned off behind me at the moment. Just pure desk space next to me to put this phone on. That's all. But yeah, it works. It functions. It's the same as I was. Let me just go here for a quick tick.
So that template that you've got
No,
already.
that one there I haven't expanded more on. I think we will update. I think we'll send it out because Kyle's going to speak about just adding more, putting more default buttons into each of the templates.
Yep.
That way it can go out because we have the bigger phones. But yeah, it went well. As long as I went to the button and added it on, it was fine. I just hear, so
Cool.
if I look on this one here, just let me scroll across to it. Where is it? So much the same as what we got on the 189. I've only put a couple of buttons there, but the JM's the same. So as long as you go to the button module, you can just keep on adding them onto the side as well. So what we've got here, and that's the same as the 159s as well. So we can add them down there. So it's just about going to the buttons. I think when you're looking at it, I think you had
You're
the
just on
159.
the wrong screen, I think. I don't think we're looking at the right screen.
Which one? Hold on.
I'm not too sure if you were actually showing something then, but
Yeah, was that it there?
there we are.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so this is the 189 with the extra buttons down here, same as the 159. You can add them down there, and the JM was the same. So if you had it added on, you just got to make sure you go to the button and keep on adding them in there as well. But yeah, it adds. It added. I just sort of populated buttons at random numbers through the screen so I can scroll through and have a look. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But yeah, that's
Cool. Right, so you'll update that template at some stage soon, yeah?
yeah.
There shouldn't be any change to the template because it's just buttons.
You can
It
just set
didn't-
the buttons
It
on.
didn't work on the last
You
JM.
have to say credit. If I added on the one that's in there and then extract it, yeah, just to add more of the buttons on because I've got added up to like 96 on one of the templates on the side I was testing with here.
I might have to revisit that because when I did it last time on a J179, it didn't populate any.
Then you go on the 24.
Yeah, when I went right down, I even thought, am I on the wrong key? I started, like 25, went to like 30 as test buttons. It just didn't do it, and then I had to. Only way I did it was just log into the handset to the web GUI and did it manually.
Okay.
But I don't know. Maybe I was doing something wrong, but yeah, it didn't work for me on two different handsets.
Okay. I'll have a look at the one I've got. Yeah. Maybe I'll share that out with you and see if that works on one that you're looking at. But all right. Okay.
Sorry for inundating you with questions.
No. This is what we're trying to do. So just plug them in and work. Like we got the phone and that bit, but yeah, we know that there's all. That's why I spent time on the 5.9s as well on those extra buttons just to get them there as well.
The name, I don't know if that's a possibility. Just having the name on top of the first call key there, like the Avaya, is that just not a?
I am trying to see why it doesn't populate the name through.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I can see in the config it's picked up my name and put it in. So if I look in the GUI of the phone, it's captured everything, but not onto the screen. I am trying to see if that is possible.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll add that to the list, mate. All right. All right, everyone good?
That was awesome. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, good.
All right.
Thanks.
I'll just hang on. I'll just share. All right, everyone see my screen? See my mouse move?
Yeah.
All right. So there's an EDM go out. I think it just went out this morning for some more training sessions for this month. So we're breaking it down into like separate modules. More in depth on SIP trunks, core flow designer, which Nathan's going to do, a module on call center, and various other things. So we're limiting the seats on these. So if you want to register, jump on, register on the form, and these sessions are all for later on in September. All right, so, you know, we try to make them short, like an hour, hour and a half. All right.
Cool.
That's it. Thanks for attending.
Thanks, guys. Much appreciated.
Thank you all.
All
All
right,
right,
have a good
thanks.
one. Shut up. Bye.
Thank you.